So it's a bit of a blustery one today, but not too bad. Spring clearly isn't here yet, but I did hear a chiff-chaff on the way up, which is always nice. First one of the year. So let's get up to the camp. So the camp seems to weather the storms again, which is great. Just to sort out some of the tarpaulin again on the wood. And yeah, let's get unpacked. Just unpacking my stuff. Got this blanket, which is great. It is very, very bulky, but well worth bringing up. Sort of Swiss Army type wool blanket. It's great. You can probably sleep out in it. It's good enough. And obviously the cheapo foam mat underneath. Nice little seat for the day. Right, this is the stuff got with me today. Normal water cups. Got the long lens for the camera today. See if I can get some decent shots of birds. Soup noodles, again, like last week. I was thinking about doing something on the grill, but with the coronavirus at the moment, it's not ideal for getting fresh stuff. Got a carving kit, a bit of dried wood. Should hopefully get a nice spoon out of that. Bag of seed for the birds. This is my firelighting stuff, so I'll see the fat wood there. This is eucalyptus tree bark, which falls off easily. It's really good for lighting fires. Coffee pouch and the hammock, which I think I'll get up next and have a little go. It's been a long time since I've used it. There we go, sorted. It's only a cheapo one. It's pretty good though. I think it's about 15 quid. The straps are great for easily doing it on the trees. You can adjust the heights nice and easily with the little loops. Nice and relaxing. Next, we shall get a fire going, I think. Try and warm up a bit. And get those birds fed as well. Right, birds fed. Also got quite a bit more on the floor this time. I'm going to try and get some photos or video from sitting over there. Fire next. So we can get some kindling. There's plenty of stuff blown down from the storms, hanging in the trees, and did quite a lot of oak last time I was here, so plenty of firewood this time around. I'll get that going now. Going to stick with the fat wood this time around. Get it chopped up with my knife. Don't know if I said before, but the knife is one I made out of an old file. You can probably see. It's a great little knife making course down there, Cordovan Bushcraft company, I think it's called, at the forge. Sorted. Let's get some kindling and get it laid. Okay, so we've got the first stage fat wood, which I'll get going with later. Again, it's a bit blowy and cold today, so really can't be bothered doing anything else. We'll get this going. Fat wood today with a bit of eucalyptus bark, which is pretty good. Not exactly native. Pick it up in parks and stuff. Excuse the chainsaw in the background, just doing some maintenance in the woods. So grab the First stage kindling, lob it on, should go pretty quick. That's pretty good. Second stage, thick stuff, again, lob it on, it'll soon get going. So I've got mainly birch twigs and a bit of willow this time. So I'll get going. Lovely smell. It's looking pretty good. And I've got some bigger stuff up on the top. A bit more gently this time. Knock it all over. Generally what I try and do, I think it's fairly common practice, just let the flames get higher than the last load of wood you put on. Generally at that point it's ready for it, next stage. That's pretty good. Try some of these bigger lumps on now. It'll probably fall over a bit in a bit, but just get it all on the go. And that's it. So that's going fine now. Leave that be. We're going to get other things done. Might even go for a little lie on the hammock. Just been pottering about, not too much. I found this quite nice hanging branch in the tree, falling in the winds, so I'll get that chopped up. I'll probably just use my lot blender today. And that's that, sorted. Really quite tough. Dried oak, so not surprising. Next, I think I will sort out that fire and get a brew on. Just chuck some of that cut wood on there. Seems really dry, it's good. I'll stop smoking pretty quick and get going. Looks great. Chuck some coffee grounds in there. Let's give it a quick stir. Not too hot. My spoons. I think that's actually pretty much done. Take it off. It should have cooled down by now. Let's have a look. Whoa, blimey, still pretty hot. Let's give it a taste. Oh, hot, but really nice. Just relax in front of the fire for a bit. Take it easy. So just going to run through my tools before I start doing a spoon, after I've had my coffee, of course. So, got the Ben Orford, I think it's a Mockatugan it's called, really handy thing. You can see my mark that I put on there, branding iron, same on YouTube channel. See Ben and Lois Orford one as well. It's a pretty cool little thing, the branding iron. It's found on Etsy. A bloke there, I think it was Poland, who made the design for me. Nice little thing. Grounds for Brooks. Little carving axe. The standard Moras. The 110. Sorry. 110 and the 120, and also a smaller hook knife. I forget the maker, you can get them on Aramia's website. Nice little thing. Also got the Laplander for doing the basic cuts. Put this onto the hand I carve into. I'll show you my scar in a second, very important. And this is for protecting my knee when I'm anywhere near it. Normally though, I'm carving onto this stump, so not getting anywhere near. So yeah, isn't this bit of wood? It's a nice lump, it's been drying over winter. Lovely little bit of grain on it. There's a bit of wax on there, I was just seeing how it looks. That's from a rowan tree, which came down not far from the camp. So have a look at that and get a spoon made. But first I'll get that coffee finished. Right, I'll take a look at this, try and get a spoon out of it. I don't claim to be any sort of expert, just how I've kind of learnt myself. So what we're trying to do is come up with something like that. Now, main thing I suppose is getting a nice bit of wood into the bowl. So I think I'll turn it upside down to get this nice bit there, forming the bowl, and kind of have the crank coming up here, the bowl down the bottom there. So that's roughly how it's going to go. I try and pencil mark it on, but really go with the flow, see where the wood takes you. I think most people would probably go for Try and mark out something on the top so you know roughly where you're going. Just something like that. A lot of people go for a centre line, but it's normally pretty obvious. So that's the first bit. So I think it's best to try and get an idea of where you're going with it. Just have a play with it, have a think about it. But things have to change as you go through it anyway. So next bit will be to get rid of the excess, essentially. So sort of all of that can come out. A great deal of that will be able to come out as well. And that in there. So we end up with kind of like chop marks on the bit that we're going to take out. That's normally done with a saw. It will take forever with a knife. So as you can see, I've drawn something pretty rough and ready because it's going to come off anyway. Once it gets cut down, this chunk's going to come off to form the crank, so the bowl's going to be down here. So that's really just to guide the cut marks that I'm going to do here and on the other side, where I'm going to cut to there with the Laplander on both sides and then chop this chunk off with the small carving axe. So there we go, got the stop marks in and cut, and essentially it's going to cut that lot off there on each side with an axe now. So just put the axe in there, knock it down, split it off. That's that done. So I don't claim to be any sort of expert with this, but this is how I do it. I've basically got this that has been drying over winter. It's a nice bit of rowan. I've drawn on the outline of a spoon very, very roughly, just simply because this bit's going to come off soon. That's because the bowl of the spoon is going to be down the bottom, so we need to chop this lot off, and that bit, and these side bits. So to do these two bits, the easiest way is just to do stop cuts each side. This just means when you're splitting this off, it doesn't split into the bowl, hence a stop cut. Nice and simple. So the next bit, I'll get the axe in and just take those two chunks off. Now if you're a rank amateur like I am, avoid getting cuts like I have. This one particularly was pretty nasty, almost needed a skin graft, so wear a glove. Right, so get these bits knocked off. Be really careful. You see this lip here stops things flying back at me. So get it lined up, give it a good thwack. More carefully than that, so you don't take the bowl off as well. That's what the stop cut's there for. Just stops the cut running right into the bowl. And essentially, just do the same on the other side. And there we go. Really, really careful at that stage, otherwise if you let it run off and take the bowl off, then you need to start again. It's no fun. So less is more, but it saves taking all this off with the with just the knife and the axe. So that's good. So what I'll do now is start refining it with the axe, taking off these chunks around here, around there. Then after that, I'll take this top chunk off there to form the bowl down the bottom, and start working on the handle. So that looks good. Right, next bit. We need to start forming the bowl shape with the axe, so removing all this excess. I find it's easier if you leave a good chunk on the handle to start with. Obviously if you made it really thin, it could easily snap. So, common sense, but there you go. Right, so using the back edge of this, it's really a matter of preference as to how you do it, but it just stops it running away from you. If you did it here, you'll see it slide back into yourself. So for safety purposes, just there and up against there, and really wherever you find it comfortable. I've not done one of these now for quite a few months, so it'll probably take me a while to find my feet. Yeah. So keeping your hands right out of the way, just start taking off the corner like that. And eventually it'll come out into a bowl shape. Now I'm not going to show you doing all of this because it's going to take quite a while. As I say, I'm a bit rusty, and the wood is pretty hard as it's been drying. It's easy to do this with green wood, but you do tend to get nicer cuts when it's dry. You see it start to come on, just taking the edges off. What I've noticed as I've been doing it is there's some, as I thought there might be, some really nice grain in the wood in here. So try and get that incorporated into the bowl so you can see it. But yeah, looking good. So getting there, I like to leave a little bit on the end, just so I'm not getting too close to this while I'm pushing it down and going hard against it. You can end up sort of snapping this bit, so I leave a good bit there. Next bit is taking these off, these side bits. I say really rough and ready at this stage, because obviously you'll be cutting most of this off anyway once we sort out the side profile. So that's the next bit. We'll start taking these bits off. Now it's a little fiddly, so it depends just however you find it most comfortable, and you're essentially cutting back into these stop cuts. So generally sort of wedge it in like that, and then you can just sort of, it looks as though my hands are quite close, but pushing away from rather than anywhere near. But yeah, get that bit off there. So get those bits off now. Essentially you just wedge it in wherever it feels, so it's not going to move too much, and then sort of very gently going at this bit here. It's best to do it really slow, because if you make a mistake you're going straight into the bowl. So at this stage, even though it looks rough and ready, you are getting very close to the final edge. So I'll take it easy. And it's getting there. Right, there we go. That's that bit done. Really, really rough and ready at this stage. I mean, there's no point going for making it really refined, because I'm about to chop off most of this. So Next bit is to mark up where we want the bowl to be, which is going to be down here. So chopping off this chunk and then having the handle of the spoon coming up here. So I'll get that drawn on. I'll show you once I've done that. So really rough, just because this is all going to come off anyway. So what I'm trying to do is recreate that shape in there. So the next bit is to chop off the excess, which I'll start doing now. So part way into the refining, it didn't go quite as planned, but it's getting there. Quite a big chunk came off where I wasn't expecting it, but I think there's still some mileage in that. It is getting there, looks very rough still, but there is a shank in there, I think. I'm just trying to find it. You have to work with the wood, and I'm going a little bit across the grain at times, but that's where the interesting markings are, so I'm trying to get those out. Ideally you do it with green to start with and then wait for it to dry and then do the final cuts, but this is what I had at the moment, and it's good to practice. Even if it doesn't work, hey, it's still relaxing and fun. It's getting there. There is a spoon in there, I think. Not quite how I started out, but hey, you have to work with the wood unless you use them very green, very straight, but it doesn't have much character, whereas this bit of rowan should hopefully have quite a bit. So yeah, keep going. So I think that's as far as I'll take it with the axe. It's, as I say, quite splintery. Probably going to make a mistake if I do too much more with it. But it's good, it's getting there, got the bulk of it done. I think first though, before we start with the knife work and the bowl and all that kind of thing, that will, I think I'll get some lunch. So I'll just get this water on for lunch. It's a fair bit. Should be thinking a while. Just while I'm waiting for that water to get boiled, I've been roughing this out a bit more. It's getting there. It's not going to be my best one, but hey, it's always nice and relaxing. Starting to get there. It's going to be probably more of a flatter eating toast spoon, but hey, for the wood. Right, I think this is ready. Yep, good. It's almost traditional noodles now. They're very tasty. Good. Give it a stir. Get them scoffed. I think I'm just about done with the Mora 120. I think I'll move on to the smaller one now. So it's kind of got the shank there. Needs a lot of work. But the basic bowl shape and the handle, which will need refining as well. It's getting there. Not too bad. So I've done a bit with the Mora 110, the smaller one. Now I'm just going to use the hook knife to form a little bit of a bowl. It's not going to be much of a one on this one, but just helps me then do the rest. So this is why I definitely have my glove. I've never really found an easier way to do this. I sort of grab it in there and really small cuts, using both the hands to sort of guide it, and away you go. Just starts to make a little impression. So I'll crack on and do that. Initially it sort of makes like little teeth marks almost in it, but once it gets in there it starts creating its own little curve. It's much easier, and it just sort of try and show it becomes pretty simple. This isn't going to take long because it's only a very shallow bowl. There we go. Quite hard to show in camera, but essentially grab it in there and just really gently using both hands, just very shallow cuts. There we go. So the bowl's pretty much there. Just going to do some work on the handle, round it off somehow, and then do some finishing cuts. So I'm going to try and do something on the end a bit like that. Next, some finishing cuts, maybe a light sand. Just going to give it a really good sanding now. Well, a decent sanding. It's nice and dry. It sands really nicely. And I'll probably take another look at it with the knife afterwards. Get enough. And I think that's about it. And I'll probably give that one to my mum for Mother's Day. I'll take a photo later of it and add it in. Nice bit of beeswax on it, should bring out the finish. Fire's starting to go out now, so I'll probably make a move fairly soon. Get tidied up. That'll be the end of the day.